Broadcasts of HIKI No are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo. And by Bank of Hawaii Foundation, investing in Hawaii's future by promoting collaboration, critical thinking, and other 21st century skills through HIKI No.
Next on HIKI No, stories from across our island chain.
I think that I wanted to prove that I was in charge of what happened to my body. I was in charge of how far I could push my body. I was in charge of how much it hurt.
This Big Island teacher goes on a 2,650-mile journey to heal her body and soul following a traumatic experience.
See how a rescue dog named Rascal and other critters on Kauai are teaching young campers how to take care of animals.
Come into the kitchen at a popular Hanapepe restaurant to see how this chef prepares local food that draws diners to Unko's kitchen year after year.
Learn along with students from Lahaina Intermediate School the lost art of sewing on a button.
Find out how students from 3 countries have become ambassadors of peace for a new generation.
Meet a man who immigrated from the Philippines to make a new life for himself and his family on Kauai.
And find out how a Maui family discovered the blessing in their baby's disability and how they are sharing their experience to inspire their community.
Stay tuned for these stories and see how the schools with stories in this show define the geographic boundaries of their school districts.
All on this episode of HIKI No.
Can do.
We are here on the campus of Konawaena High School in the town of Kealakekua on the leeward side of Hawaii Island. The Konawaena complex serves students from the South Kona region, grades K through 12. Students travel from Kona and as far south from the town of Ocean View to attend our school, situated in the fertile slopes of Mauna Loa. Our district is mostly rural, with small historically rich towns nestled in between coffee plantations. Also located near the school is Captain Cook Monument in Kealakekua Bay, in which Captain Cook lost his life in 1779. The following story by students at Konawaena High School is about a high school teacher that walked the Pacific Crest Trail to overcome a traumatic event in her life.
At 21, Miss Emma Erwin challenged herself to walk 2,650 miles along the Pacific Crest Trail by herself.
But across the board, the majority of people doing trails like that are kind of scruffy bearded men. And so being a young blonde woman was pretty rare. I think it definitely made the experience different for me than it would for someone of a different gender or of a different age.
For Miss Erwin, the trail wasn't just a physical challenge. It was a journey to overcome the emotional trauma of being sexually assaulted.
But I think for me, I was trying to prove that my body was mine again. And I think that came from the experiences that happened before in college. And I think that I wanted to prove that I was in charge of what happened to my body. I was in charge of how far I could push my body. I was in charge of how much it hurt. And I was in charge of where I was going and what I was doing, because I think a lot of that control gets lost when you undergo a traumatic experience.
It took Miss Erwin 102 days to hike from the border of Mexico to the border of Canada, nearly 3.5 months to sort out her conflicting emotions.
And so rather than having it be some isolated person who I had no history with, that would be terrible. But it was also this very, very heartbreaking situation where I lost someone very close to me in my life because they did something terrible to me. And so that compounded the trust issues and compounded the difficulty in recovering, because I was worried about him too, which is weird. You don't think about that. You don't think about worrying about your assaulter. But that was a huge part of my process as well.
As Miss Erwin pushed her body and mind to the brink of exhaustion, she also completed her journey from victim to survivor.
I think in my process, in the aftermath of what happened to me, I think a big, huge part of it was hiking the PCT by myself. Clear to me and clear to those around me who are close to me in my life, that was kind of a major shift. When I'm subtracting and I have denominators, I keep...
Miss Erwin now teaches at Konawaena High School and hopes her experience can help others struggling with abuse.
It's terrible that it's this one act can cause this huge trauma for not just the victim, but the aggressor as well. And unfortunately, like the statistic is more often than not, when something like sexual assault happens, it's not uncommon that it's someone that you know or that you believe cares about you.
Miss Erwin says the road to recovery does not require a cross-country trail. Just being open and honest is a great first step.
Having people like openly declare like, yes, this factually happened to me, and yes, it was this person's fault, not mine, can be really helpful for other people who have experienced similar situations.
Miss Erwin's lessons are going beyond the classroom by sharing what it is like to walk in someone else's shoes. This is Kaimana Manzano from Konawaena High School for HIKI No.
And now we go to Lehue on Kauai, where students from Chiefess Kamakahelei Middle School bring us to camp with some friendly critters who need love, attention, and protection.
When he was just a 4-month-old puppy, Rascal was rescued by the Kauai Humane Society.
He had been attacked by another dog, we assume, and his face was practically bitten off, and he lost one of the eyes because it was no longer savable. But the most important thing to save was the hole in his skull here, because there was a tooth had penetrated his head, and it was quite infected, and it needed a lot of antibiotics.
Rascal's injuries required 3 different surgeries. He pulled through with the help and care of a Humane Society employee. Capturing the hearts of many, Rascal became a Kauai Humane Society ambassador and now plays a key role in an educational keiki program called Critter Camp.
Oh, Rascal's a part of a critter camp because he kind of boosts the whole group. We use him as examples to how surgery helps animals because he had a big gash in his head and how the vet can help.
At Critter Camp, kids take part in arts and crafts and different animal-related activities.
We get to go see the kittens and the cats and the dogs. We also get to take animals on perimeter walks, like Rascal, and we get to make treats for them, anything to making bird toys, to playing with animals.
By connecting with animals, kids also learn about the impact animals can have on people's lives.
So they learn how to socialize with the animals. They learn how to be kind and caring and gentle with them. They learn about marine animals, and they learn about service dogs like the canine rescue units. I also have the SOS bird ladies come in, and also the forest bird people come in, so it's not just only cats and dogs.
Sometimes the most important lessons can't be taught by books. At the Kauai Humane Society, they're found in animals, like Rascal.
I like Rascal because he learned how to survive with only one eye.
Critter Camp's pretty important and special because it allows kids to interact with the animals and learn about how to take care of them and what to do. And it's just fun for everyone.
People gain great insight for watching animals, socializing with animals, just like people. It's a great human skill.
Lessons like empathy and caring for others, whether they're animals or people, are what make Critter Camp so special. This is Jasmine Ruiz from Chiefess Kamakahelei Middle School for HIKI No.
HIKI No's on Instagram. For show updates and a peek behind the scenes, follow us on Instagram at HIKI No Can Do.
We're here on the campus of Waimea High School in the town of Waimea on the west side of Kauai. Our school serves students grade 9 through 12 from a large proportion of Ele'ele, but also including Kalaheo, Kekaha, and Waimea. A famous tourist attraction on the west side is the breathtaking Waimea Canyon, also known as the Grand Canyon of the Pacific. The following story by students at Waimea High School is about a local restaurant business sharing its home-style cooking. If you're on the island of Kauai and looking for a family restaurant full of aloha, Uncle's Kitchen in the small town of Hanapepe is the place for you. We sat down with Manuel Cabral, better known as Uncle Mano, so that he could share with us more about his business.
Started around 1986, and I got really interested in cooking by cooking with other people that was much older than I am. And my idea was to gain as much knowledge as I could before this type of cooking would fade away.
Over time, Uncle Mano has worked out recipes that were made from the heart to serve at his restaurant.
My menu items are basic home-cooked meals that the local people would enjoy throughout the years. And they often enjoy that type of cooking, so we decided to cook the same way. So we're not really cooking what we would call the ways that you'd be taught by if you was going to a culinary school. So we cook totally different. We do home-style cooking.
Not only does he get his inspiration from his family, his greatest motivation was to continue his cooking style.
Well, we're not like some of the other businesses where most of the things that they cook are pre-measured, pre-made. We just do everything by flavor.
Being that Uncle Mano cooks from the heart, he continues to update his menu and serve the dishes he thinks are the best.
Oh, it just depends on popularity, what people really like, what most commonly locals love to eat. We add that to our menu. Popular foods are beef stew with mac salad and rice. We also have a Hunter special, which is 4 eggs, Portuguese sausage, spam, smoked meat, and 2 scoops of rice.
Uncle Mano sticks with the traditions and how he learned to cook his menu items.
Well, I can say that our food in out of our kitchen is like food that was prepared some, at least 30, 40 years ago. Plantation style of cooking, and we just kind of carry that right through to now. So people are kind of looking for that while they were growing up as a young kids through the plantation camps. So we kind of copy that and serve our food that way.
This is Don Serapio from Waimea High School for HIKI No.
Next, students from Lahaina Intermediate School teach us how to keep our favorite clothes ready to wear with a simple task many of us still don't know how to tackle.
Hey, you don't have to throw away your clothes just because it lost a button. Why throw it away when you can fix it within a few minutes? All you will need is a sewing needle, thread, scissors, and a button. The first step is to grab your needle and thread. You will need to cut a piece of thread about 8 inches long to fully fix your button. Next is to pull the thread through the eye of the needle. This might be tricky at first, but you will get the hang of it. Then you tie a knot at the end of the thread as shown. Next, you position the new button on the spot where the previous button was. Push the thread and needle up through the bottom of the fabric and through one hole of the button. Make sure to pull all the way through on each stitch. Then push the needle down to the next hole, through the fabric, and pull all the way through. Repeat the process 2 times. Then you wrap the thread 3 or 4 times around the base of the button to strengthen it. The next step is to weave 3 or 4 stitches through the fabric to secure the thread. The final step is to cut off the extra thread. Now you can enjoy your fixed clothing. This is Christian Clarion from Lahaina Intermediate School for HIKI No.
We're here on the campus of Aliamanu Middle School in the Salt Lake District of Oahu. Our school is surrounded by many outstanding features. We are located in an area of extinct volcanic craters, such as Aliamanu, for which we are named. To the west of us is Joint Base Pearl Harbor Hickam, home of the U.S. Pacific Fleet and the headquarters of Pacific Air Forces and the Hawaii Air National Guard. If you travel, then you're most likely familiar with Daniel K. Inouye International Airport. Finally, our school lies within an area providing educational services that includes Aliamanu Elementary School and the Salt Lake Mauna Public Library. The following story by students at Aliamanu Middle School is about 3 student ambassadors from countries around the Pacific. They traveled to Hawaii to spread the message of peace.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy.
The words of President Franklin D. Roosevelt remind us of the devastation of war. But now, a date which will live in infamy also inspires a message of peace. 3 students from Japan, Australia, and California carried that message when they came together for 1 week on Oahu. Their visit was sponsored by the Australian National Maritime Museum for a project celebrating peace in the Pacific.
They had to write a speech saying why they thought being an ambassador would be important and why they would make a good ambassador, so what personal qualities they possessed.
The ambassadors met for the first time when they arrived in Hawaii. With a common goal in mind, they quickly bonded with each other. They had a busy schedule that included a visit to Aliamanu Middle School, where they met students of various cultures and backgrounds. They also were able to hear the first-hand accounts of the Pearl Harbor attack through a presentation by Mr. Jimmy Lee, who was an eyewitness to the event as a child. The ambassadors also had a chance to share their viewpoints on peace.
I'm from Australia. I live in a town called Newcastle, so that's about...
we need to focus on peace because, you know, anything other than peace ends with people getting hurt or dying, and the only thing that matters in this world is taking care of each other.
The next day, they attended a youth peace symposium where Japanese citizens and veterans from World War II shared their thoughts.
So their stories were really just something different and something that I can really take back to Australia and tell other teachers and friends about.
I really like to hear the other perspective from other people, like other countries' people. So it was good.
They began the following day by participating in commemoration ceremonies of the December 7th Pearl Harbor attacks. Later, they returned to the Pacific Aviation Museum. Exhibits and interactive activities gave the students and ambassadors perspectives from both sides of the war. Finally, the hallmark of their entire visit was the signing of the peace document on board the USS Missouri. It took place in the exact spot where, more than 70 years ago, a signing by Japan, the United States, and its allies officially ended the Pacific phase of World War II. It was streamed live to students in Australia.
My hope as a young global citizen is that the few which make those life-changing decisions act with integrity and responsibility, to consider the effects of conflict on the many and to act with truth and honesty so that the tragedies of the past are never repeated.
The ceremony left a lasting impression on those in attendance.
After seeing all of this and after going through today, peace, the word peace means to me when people come together and instead of fighting and arguing, they become friends.
With lessons from the past and present generations, these young ambassadors are ready to carry on the mission of peace for generations to come. This is Cassandra Montgomery from Aliamanu Middle School for HIKI No.
The following story about a Filipino immigrant's experience moving to Hawaii was produced by students at Kauai High School in Lihue.
I originally produced this story about my father's immigrant experience for the PBS NewsHour Student Reporting Labs.
Hawaii is a very beautiful place. The scenery is perfect. There's a lot of green mountains, nice people, clean air, cleaner than where I came from. I immigrated from the Philippines, and that was about 17 years ago. Immigrating to Hawaii was not as easy. You need to have a lot of sacrifices. My wife came back to the Philippines to marry me, but after she went back to the US, I was not able to come or follow, but that process takes 4 or 5 years for me to even come to the US.
16 years ago, my father began working as a civil engineer for the Hawaii State Department of Transportation.
My job right now is easier for me to support my family, but it's not easy in the beginning. Me and my wife needed 2 jobs each, just to rent a house or buy a car and to have anything that's a necessity. Our family has grown in the US. My parents and my sisters legally immigrated after me, and my sisters are now married and have their own family. Everybody is now citizens of the United States. I'm glad that I am immigrated to Hawaii. Life is a lot better now.
This is Brandon Marcos from Kauai High School for HIKI No.
Here we are on the campus of Maui High School, home of the Sabres located in Kahului, the heart of central Maui. Maui High School serves students in grades 9 through 12 who reside in Kahului, which is the business, retail, and transportation center of Maui. Students also commute from the beachline, tourism-driven South Maui communities of Kihei, Wailea, and Makena. The areas we serve are mainly comprised of growing suburban neighborhoods and also feature key elements of Maui's activity and economy, such as our island's international airport, seaport, main shopping venues, restaurants, and beachfront resorts. The following story by students at Maui High School is about a family enjoying the birth of their baby and their business.
We do strawberry, lilikoi, lychee.
For the past 3 years, Pukalani residents Elias and Stephanie Garcia spread their love for popcorn and people with their Aloha kettle corn food truck. But when they are not working, Elias and Stephanie enjoy life with their 9-month-old baby, Eliana. The moments they share as a family are especially cherished due to their long journey to parenthood.
We tried 6 years to have a baby, and it was a struggle. But when we found out that she was pregnant, we was all excited.
Everything was going good. I'm setting up my baby shower, and I got a call from the physician, and he said, just no warning, that my baby's screening test for Down syndrome came back positive. And at that moment, I felt like 100 boulders just come down on me. It was a scary, scary time for us. You know, you kind of get through that, and then all these other things keep piling on. More than 50% of babies with Down syndrome have heart conditions, and they were concerned that baby would need open heart surgery. They did an ultrasound on baby and found 2 holes in her heart.
The Garcias spent 24 days in the NICU hoping and praying.
But we knew this was our miracle baby.
After long, intense days of waiting, the Garcias were finally able to return home after Eliana's holes healed themselves.
She is more than we could have imagined. She brings so much joy and so much life, and it's the greatest blessing of my life. When people tell me, I'm so sorry about your baby, or I'm sorry about this condition, not knowing that it's not something to be sorry about.
We got information on our own, and when we found out that kids that has Down syndrome gets terminated, we get hurt because they are a big part of what we don't know, which is love. Down syndrome, to me, is a gift from God. It's that extra chromosome that no other person has, and that extra chromosome is a gift that was given just to them. Those children is full of love.
For the Garcias, their baby served not just as a blessing, but also a new way of looking at their situation.
It's opened our perspective and broadened our ways of thinking and seeing disability in a new light.
The Garcias decided to share this love with the Maui community.
Aloha kettle corn is our pride and joy, and it's such a blessing because we're able to use our company to share and educate the community. We did an event in October, which is Down Syndrome Awareness Month, and we did an event at Kula Country Farms where we provided education, awareness with Down syndrome.
Awareness for us is important so that the people in Hawaii and all over know that these children, just because they have Down syndrome and they're labeled, they can do great things. They just want to be loved, and they just want to show love.
I have dreams that she can share her story, that she be a advocate and be an inspiration to children with Down syndrome, to communities, to the world.
This is Hunter Noho'i Kaika from Maui High School for HIKI No.
Stay tuned after the show to see what the students who produced this story learned from their experience.
Well, we've come to the end of this episode of HIKI No.
Remember, all these stories are written, shot, and edited by students like us.
We hope you've enjoyed watching them as much as we've enjoyed sharing them with you.
Stay tuned after the show to find out what some students learned working on this episode.
More proof that Hawaii students HIKI No can do.
Stay tuned after the credits to see what students from Maui High School learned from their HIKI no experience.
In Maui High School's Garcia story, I was the camera and co-writer.
I was camera, editor, and co-writer.
I was camera and co-writer.
The Garcia story is about a couple that lives in Pukalani, Stephanie and Elias Garcia, and they tried to get pregnant. They finally ended up getting pregnant, but their baby was diagnosed with Down syndrome.
We decided that it would be a good story to share with the community.
For this HIKI no story, we really worked well as a team.
For most of us, this was our first HIKI no story, but Yasha was actually the only one that was experienced with filming these stories and knowing how they lay out.
Being mentored by Yasha was overall good because she's so experienced and it really helped me become a better videographer. When she was just like getting up and close with the baby, I wasn't very comfortable doing that, but seeing her do that really made me not think that I'm overstepping boundaries into their life and gave me confidence.
I am definitely proud of the outcome, especially since it is Hunter, Josiah's, and April's first time making a HIKI no story, and the video turned out really, really well.
For my next HIKI no story, I want to further develop my connection with people because I feel like that's the most important thing in film production and being professional, when you can interact with others.
Broadcasts of HIKI no are made possible by the support of viewers like you. Mahalo. And by Bank of Hawaii Foundation, investing in Hawaii's future by promoting collaboration, critical thinking, and other 21st century skills through HIKI no.